A little bit unique for me because typically while I go to a lot of conferences and I do a lot of presentations, that's usually kind of sales and product driven. When I come here, I get to ask the Energis team to pick a topic for me. And so last year we did Python and arcade stuff. So this year, I'm a little nervous about having to do this one because I know there's some feelings about this. I don't know if I'll forgive them for it, but either way, we're gonna talk about migrating from Web App Builder to Experience Builder. It's imminent. It's coming. It's been coming. You know how ESRI migrates things for a decade, so you've already been on a timer. But what I want to do is make sure you guys know you can interrupt me. So don't wait till the end. If you're not comfortable speaking out or asking a question, I want you to shoot a hand up. I'll stop because unlike most of my presentations, this one I don't get to give like a technical presentation because a lot of this is just driven by kind of informing what this process is and isn't, right? And what you can and can't do. And I know that y'all want to tell me about all the things it can't do, and I'm glad to hear it. So at the end, I do have a Survey 123, a QR code, and y'all be able to scan that, and you can submit that with your name, your email. I put a giant nested thing so you can list all of those problems that I know you want to tell me about. But either way, let's get into it. So I am going to talk about the retirement timeline. And I'm going to get very specific about what is retiring, what isn't retiring, what will go away, what won't go away, right? I think ESRI seems to think that it's really clear, but I have conversations every week that nobody knows really exactly what's going away and when. So I want to make sure y'all kind of get a good idea of what that is. I'll get into Experience Builder a little bit, but the next pieces of this are sort of some tips and tricks and considerations whenever y'all do start to move your web app builders over to Experience Builder, okay? So the retirement timeline, the actual timing. So Developer Edition is effectively retired now, right? I got another slide, so there'll be some questions about some of this, and I'll clarify those on the next slide. So the Developer Edition is retired. Now, Enterprise still has another release coming. So the first release, 11.5 in 2025, will have your final ArcGIS Online catch-up updates for Experience Builder, right? And that will be a long-term support release, so you got a 3-year runway on that, on critical bug fixes and all that good stuff, right? And then Web App Builder and ArcGIS Online will effectively go away at the end of 2025. Okay, so that's the runway. So what does that really mean? So Developer Edition being retired now just means that the documentation switched over, right? You can still go download it, you can still access it, it's still there. It's not actually going anywhere. It's just there won't be any more continued support in that area. ArcGIS Enterprise, really, as long as you don't go to, I don't know if they're going to do 11.6 or if they'll bump it up to 12, but as long as you stay in 11.5 or older, you're going to have Web App Builder as it is now. It's not going to change. You'll just continue to operate and use it as you see fit, right? ArcGIS Online, however, is where you're going to get your biggest effects. So at the end of next year, your Experience Builders and ArcGIS Online, or sorry, your Web App Builders and ArcGIS Online will still function. They aren't going to stop. It's not like some hard date and then all of a sudden your dashboards are broken. You will still be able to use them, but you won't be able to edit them, right? They are going to be kind of frozen in time, and that is the ArcGIS Online effective date. That doesn't affect the Enterprise. So for all my Enterprise users, y'all really get like 10 years of ignoring it and not upgrading to kick that can down the road. But you're not going to get any of the new functionality, right? And so there are a lot of really good benefits to being an Experience Builder. And you're going to tell me all the things that aren't really good about being an Experience Builder, because that's all I hear. But there's a lot of things to moving and slowly moving and figuring out how to work in the new world. It is a lot like the move from desktop to pro, right? Some of the things just moved around. Some of the things got combined, and we'll go through some of those pieces in some of the slides. So what can you do with Experience Builder? Well, I'm not going to say, I'll choose my words very carefully here. You can do a lot of what you can do in Web App Builder, if not most. There are still some pieces, lots of pieces, that you can't. Some of them were purposeful, some of them weren't, and some of them are still coming. So what I like to tell people as I work, because I meet with 50 to 70 different clients, right? 11.3 is really your kickover version in enterprise. It's still not 100% there. You're still going to find some things that you have to figure out how to do differently. But 11.3 is your effective widget cutover. There's still 2 more stragglers, I think, that are going to come out with 11.4 and maybe one with 11.5 as far as old Web App Builder. But that's the version that's going to get you there. And I have a lot of links and QR codes through here, and then I'll give you the slides. So there's a bunch of stuff in here that's going to be really good resources as you'll start to dig in. But as far as Experience Builder goes, the UI is really nice in that it takes some of the sites and the other pieces that you couldn't really do in Web App Builder and gives you more versatility on the user experience and the design capabilities, right? And that's one of the things I like the most about it, is it extends beyond just the map and kind of some of our locked-in panels. We can make it into a full-blown web page, right, or multiple web pages, and drive that way. But also being able to truly integrate some of the other ESRI apps straight into Experience Builder, like Survey 123 and some of those other pieces, not as just like a kick-out link, but as an actual interactive item inside of Experience Builder without really even needing to code or do anything. And so some of those types of things are going to be really valuable for you guys as you'll modernize your dashboards. Again, I've touched on a lot of this. It's a very flexible design. It may not be flexible in the ways that y'all want it to be designed, because there are some things y'all are used to doing in Web App Builder, right? And there are ways that you've been working and building your dashboards for a while now. And I know it doesn't do some of those things. And it may never. But it does do a lot of other things, and there are some really creative ways that you can use the new interface to work around that. But if we're trying to just do parity and move it straight over, there may be a few areas where you're going to have to do some redesign and uplift on that. I'm going to jump past this a little bit. So how to migrate your apps? Well, you're not really going to migrate them. I don't know why all of ESRI's, pretty much all of ESRI's documentation says let's migrate it. So it's not like taking your old desktop MXDs and hitting import and pro, and now all of a sudden you've got a pro project and you're on off to the races. No, you're going to be rebuilding them because effectively it is a different dashboarding app. But I think where I have felt the miscommunication here is that Web App Builder is just not going away, right? It's still going to be effective. It's still going to be there. So you don't need to go run out, and if you've got 20 or 30 apps, and say, well, I've got to get all these rebuilt, here in the next 6 months, and I got to do my day job and do all that. That's not the case. If you don't have a reason to go blow up some of those Web App Builders, then leave them. Don't mess with them yet. Take the key ones, take some of the ones that you do need to go restructure, add something to, and take that moment to go ahead and rebuild. But you don't need to be in like that big of a rush. Now, what I would say, a good strategy going forward is to take your new dashboards and design from Experience Builder there, right? So don't build anything new in Web App Builder, but do point forward. But you're not in a race to go ahead and get rid of all of your Web App Builders. So, obviously we want to minimize impact, and that's waiting, right? Don't just go do it for the sake of doing it. Your users are used to using that web, and it's not going to go away, right? So don't just do it to mess with your end users and give yourself extra work right now. Because some of those, I built dashboards at BP that are still there, and they still function. They haven't touched them. They're just going, right? So those effectively will continue to do that. So if you don't need to mess with it, don't do that. Prioritize your new stuff and things that you need to enhance. Know the basics. So one of the things that is in Experience Builder is almost all of those base templates that you're used to from web, you can just start with that. Infographic and some of the other ones, you don't have to totally have a different layout. So when you first start moving into Experience Builder, you can start with a web app builder design template. It's going to look and feel then. Now the difference there is going to be sort of how you configure, right? Because that's the big change, and probably some of the places y'all are struggling the most if you haven't dug in that quite as much. Tips and tricks. So the widgets. This seems to be the biggest thing that I think drives everyone a little crazy. 11.3 is the planned parity of widgets, right? So I've said that a couple times. However, they have combined some widgets. So there are widgets that you don't think are in there, and they are. They've just brought them together into one place, right? So I have that conversation a lot. So I wanted to bring up the fact that some of our widgets just went into one widget. So 5 to 1, 2 to 1, and some of those types of things. So some of it you need to go check, and I've got some links and stuff, so you can go effectively say, well, I want to use X, but I don't know where it is in Experience Builder. Well, there's a mapping for all that, and I'm going to give you the table that has all of that, and you'll be able to just reference it. URL parameters, there's some changes there. I'm going to go through this one just a little bit quicker on some of these pieces. This is a big one, the Smart Editor, and leveraging Smart Forms, right? It's really nice in Experience Builder, really nice. The good thing is some of your, here, next thing. Your form builders, so the map viewer and the field maps, and smart forms, so the arcades, all of that will be Experience Builder will pick that up. So you can leverage all of those texts directly embedded in. It's going to pick up the logic and some of the pieces that y'all are building out in some of the other areas, and you can bring that editing capability straight into Experience Builder when you bring in those apps and maps. This is just a summary of all of those. One of the things I want to go ahead and give y'all some of the cool new things though. So one of the things that Web App Builder didn't do so well, that Experience Builder does well and is about to do even better, is mobile layouts, specific mobile layouts. So you can basically redesign your app for mobile deployment and not just have to make design decisions on the dashboard to adhere to that. You can have two separate designs and move. And then soon in the next version, I believe the release 11.4, I don't know which one of the next couple releases, you can do a mobile design first. So you can start with a mobile Experience Builder design and not have to kind of do that. So you can build it as a mobile dashboard. This is just one of the QR codes for a bunch of the little pieces. So a lot of what I talked about is kind of summarized in here. There's a lot of little articles and links. And then I'll bring in a couple of these. So these are linked in one of the slides coming up here, and I think they'll probably provide those out. So you don't need to snap these, but these are all out there on the web, and you'll get these links, so don't worry. But these tables exist, and I wanted to show you these two tables because this is your reference. This is a big driver for you guys, because I know some of you are still way back there on enterprise versions. As much as I'd like to hope that y'all were all on like 11.x, I know a bunch of people out there on 10.x. I had a 9.x last week that I was working on upgrading, so that was fun. But this is going to help you kind of drive decisions. So if you're trying to think about what version of enterprise you want to go to and which one makes the most sense, and you want to do it from a widget standpoint, like we know we use this X or Y or Z, right? You can use this chart to drive that. Now, the gaps, there will be some. Not all of them are coming forward, but there is an explanation for all of them online, right? And so this particular set. So these are some of the ones that are either A, being put into other products, and we can get into what other products means and whether that's true parity or not. That's semantics. ArcGIS capabilities, so some of that is new functionality that's coming down straight from the map now, right? So we can do some arcade or different pieces and bring that functionality forward with calculated fields and different things like that. And then replaced by other widgets or deprecated, you know, that's self-ending. And then custom development. So this one's an interesting one, and I can tell you, if you do give me feedback in the survey at the end, I'm actually going to use it. And I'll give you an example from this one. So you go look online right now, all of the widgets will say that an emergency response guide is going away. It is not. And that's been a big push that I've been working with the public sector and then a bunch of the oil and gas companies. So it's not going to be the way you think it is, but we are building a version of that. So feedback came to our group. I worked with a couple of the super majors that I work with. We put together the business case, brought in the public sector, and we are changing how that's going to come forward. So it will come forward and it will be available. We're going to use it through the analysis widget, but it will be effectively available. So your feedback, at least when you give it to me, on Experience Builder, I meet with that team, the product team and the product lead for Experience Builder every month. And I will take feedback to them. And the good thing is I work with so many natural resources companies on the SE side of things, I can layer in a couple companies because chances are if you want it, somebody else does. And I don't have a problem, and that team doesn't have a problem with me letting them know and building the cases around it. So I just wanted to let y'all know that if y'all do give me some feedback on functionality, I will make sure it gets to the team. And then these are some of the links. This is a lot of the links that will give you some of the stuff I put on a lot of the slides. So these are the three that y'all are really going to want. Roadmap. These are the upcoming items. This one's just the ones that are already on the docket to come out. If you know how ESRI's roadmaps work, near term, 100% going to happen. Midterm, most likely going to happen. Long term, I can't promise that. But the more it moves to the left on the roadmap, on an ESRI roadmap, when you see it, the more likely it is that that's effectively in the release date. So probably in the next release or two on the near term. Express mode, it's quick configuration inside of there. It's pretty slick, but that's one of the ones that's coming soon. And then this is the survey 1, 2, 3. If you guys want to submit any feedback items or missing pieces to me, and that will go to me, and then I'll go and compile it with my other list of Experience Builder gripes and try and package that up in a way that I can get it on the roadmap and try and get some stuff changed. So that's all I had today. No question.